So I think what that shows is that this stuff is happening now. It's all available out there, and these guys can meet your digital trade requirements. Thanks very much indeed, gents. That's been really interesting. Sorry to push you on the time, but we have a minister in waiting here, so we must get on. Thank you very much. So let me move straight on then to our next item for our agenda, which is we're very pleased to have Baroness Lucy Neville-Rolfe here. Baroness Neville-Rolfe is the Minister of State at the Cabinet Office, with particular responsibility for borders and trade. Before that, she was a civil servant in DEFRA and in Number 10, and then went out to the private sector as to work for Tesco, getting up to board level. But she retains a very strong interest in all matters of business and trade, and we're very honoured to have Baroness Neville-Rolfe here today. So if you'd like to come up and give us your keynote. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you've heard, I'm Lucy Neville-Rolfe, and one of my responsibilities at the Cabinet Office is for border controls on goods. Actually, goods, not people, which is a matter for the Home Office. And of course, these were needed to be introduced post-Brexit. And today, I've been asked to talk about the opportunities for innovation and digital transformation. I also do so mainly by using the development of our new borders regime as an example. But I'm grateful for the Centre for Digital Trade and Innovation for asking me, and I think for the work that they've done. I was just hearing the tail end of some of it on accelerating trade digitalization. I mean, I think the role of technology and digitalization in government can be transformational. And I'd like to start by talking about what the government is doing to embed technology in our delivery of public services. So I was as well as working at the business department, I was also a data minister in David Cameron's government. And of course, I was board level executive at Tesco, which is, I think, probably world famous for the work we did then on Clubcard and on technology more generally. So it very much is in my DNA, and I'm always trying to think of the opportunities. When I came back into government, the changed focus on this was actually one of the most encouraging changes. I'd once worked there, and I could now see central capacity in the Cabinet Office, but also effort right across Whitehall, thinking about how you enable public services using technology. I also, because of my background, believe it's important to embrace change, as we're doing, rather than to be fearful. And my business experience has taught me that the best thing is to do evolution, not revolution. That's usually the best approach. And we've been able to move forward on that basis on borders. It's also important, and I'm sure those of you in business will agree with this, to build a proper plan and a compelling business case, and to share it with stakeholders, which has not always been the way of all governments. So it's the approach we've taken with borders, and I'll talk more about that shortly. But I wanted to just emphasize that we are ambitious as a government about embedding technology across our public services. So most recently, we have established the Incubator for AI, called IAI, which is an elite team of technical experts right at the heart of government. And their mission is to help departments harness the potential of AI across the whole of government and make sure that we deliver the most efficient possible public services. It's made a brilliant start, in my view. the team has been working, for example, to improve error and fraud detection in pharmacy prescriptions, which is the second largest expense in the NHS. And that's been achieved through a combination of bespoke customs models developed in-house and large language models. It's also rolling out tools to support the government in analysing more efficiently the responses we receive to consultations. And you would have had lots of those from us in the trade area. We want to make sure we really understand what citizens and what businesses are telling us and what they want. And the savings here are quite remarkable. From this project alone, we estimate that the saving to the taxpayer is up to £80 million. Obviously, we need also to invest in bringing in talent-linked technology. And through the number 10 Innovation Fellowship, we've taken a small number of world-class technologies right into the heart of government, so bringing about change right at the heart of government on a range of priority issues. And this year, all the focus of the fellowships is on recruiting hands-on AI specialists, because the immense power of AI brings with it an opportunity that we can't afford to miss. But we also know that it's part of a much wider technology landscape the government needs to embrace, foster, and encourage. But I think it has put it up people's priority lists and branded data and all the things that I think those of you who are interested in data want to see. Now, many of you will be aware that on the 30th of April, documentary and risk-based identity and physical checks will be introduced on medium-risk animal products, on plants, on plant products, and high-risk food and feed of non-animal origin from the EU. And at this point, imports of sanitary and phytosanitary goods from the rest of the world will begin to benefit from our new risk-based model. For imports from third countries, this will remove checks on low-risk goods such as citrus fruit and shelf-stable canned products, and reduce checking levels to a more risk-based approach on items such as meat and cheese. And whilst EU border controls, albeit risk-based, will apply to the majority of EU goods for the first time since the 1970s, this will be a positive change. These controls will be imperative in protecting our biosecurity, and they will be accompanied by the piloting of innovative trusted trader schemes, which will explore how businesses can provide the necessary assurance that will allow facilitations on border controls, such as health certificates and checks. And our model will be underpinned by our primary investment in new technology at the border, so the new single trade window. Now that's now being developed by HMRC with the help of Deloitte, thank you for your hospitality today, and IBM. And the single trade window will create a seamless new digital border where technologies and real-time data will save time and costs for traders, thereby increasing efficiency vital to stimulating growth. And we're on track to provide the first functionality of the single trade window to traders later this summer, which will mean they will be able to use the user interface to submit customs import declarations and to do so again without duplication. Our analysis shows that the single UK single trade window could reduce total burdens of business by around £1 billion in the first 3 years of operation. And businesses will benefit from the introduction of a centralized electronic system for submitting their documents, reducing duplicative data entry and therefore lowering overall costs. Now, most of you will be familiar with the border trade operating model and the single trade window, and I thank those of you who've helped to develop it. So let me focus on two further areas of improvement. The first of these is the Electronic Trade Documents Act, or ETTA, which for the first time puts electronic trade documents on the same legal footing as their paper equivalents. So when that was introduced in Parliament, in 2022, our host today, the International Chamber of Commerce, described it as having the potential to change the game for cross-border trade. The Act is now in force and the game is changing. I too want to emphasize that the government is committed to supporting and enabling the digitalization of trade, and that our ambition is to be a global leader in its development and adoption. Our estimates show that the Act has the potential to increase international trade by over £1 billion over the next 10 years. But we need to work together to make sure that we grasp the opportunities it presents. And that's why the UK Export Academy, UKEA, part of the Department for Business and Trade, has been working in close collaboration with the Centre for Digital Trade and Innovation to promote the ETDA and the wider developments and benefits of trade digitalization. And a great example of the ETDA's use was provided by the retail company Matalan, purchasing a consignment of clothing from a garment supplier using electronic trade documents. The results saw documents arriving 2 days earlier than they would have done previously. The project also removed the need for couriering paper documents between Lloyds Bank and the trader on 2 occasions, resulting in a further reduction of time, cost, and risk in the overall transaction. And actually, I think less worry waiting for the courier. UKEA and C for DTI have agreed to continue collaborating with a quarterly webinar, which highlights benefits, new developments, and involving SMEs, which is a group that we believe is of critical importance in growing trade. Indeed, SMEs have been a major focus of mine at the Cabinet Office, where I recently led procurement reforms. And I would like to see SMEs taking more of the import and the export cake. And I think digitalization can help with that. The second area of change that I'd like to focus on was a key part of the border strategy, so-called Ecosystem of Trust project. Now, the first phase of that project brought together industry and government in a series of pilots involving the movement of different types of goods across UK borders. So examples would be wine and coffee beans. The pilots aimed at offering more certainty to border officials about what those goods were, where they'd come from, and how they'd been transported using a combination of technology and data. They show that commercial data has the potential to fulfill 80% of customs data requirements at the border, and that better sharing of commercial data can speed up decisions at border control posts by up to 17% in some cases. In the next phase, our innovation efforts looked not just at data, but at how government and industry could better communicate with each other. So we built a toolkit which might be key to unlocking coordination of data in a repeatable, scalable way. The new toolkit brings together free-to-use software and a governance structure, and it enables government and industry to exchange and access data from one another, including industry partners, other agencies, departments, or jurisdictions. And the government structure allows for providing and accessing only necessary information, facilitating feedback, promoting collaboration among the various stakeholders involved in goods movement, and simplifying data sharing processes. I suspect you've tried to do these within your own companies, these things, but the trick here is to bring in different stakeholders. This uses low-cost software that allows government and industry to share data with each other, add opinions, respond to queries, and integrate commercial and government systems efficiently. And we've been testing our toolkit since the beginning of March through our border trade demonstrators. The first of these demonstrators has been designed to let Suffolk Coastal Port Health Authority receive pre-alerts from industry and share findings about any non-compliance through an information sharing network. This catches issues like documentation errors and damage to cargo containers. The potential benefits for the Port Health Authority include enhanced control of goods, enabling faster interventions, and facilitating the quick identification and sharing of non-compliance across border agencies. The second demonstrator has been designed to help the Food Standard Agency to gather feedback from third-party laboratories using our toolkit. Since contaminated food can have large-scale implications for consumers, for businesses, for health, and for the environment, the FSA will be using our toolkit to monitor and manage risks and to collaborate with industry. And it can provide early warnings about worsening issues, which I think will help us all. And looking back to our previous pilot, this toolkit would have addressed some of the key problems we identified. For example, allowing a border official to query a piece of information received about goods that were being imported, and for the trader to provide information to address the concerns of the official. So rather than burdening officials with all the information, so much of it, all of the time, by using the toolkit and carefully co-designing with industry, salient information alone is provided. For example, if a shipment takes an unexpected route, which we know has had to happen quite a bit recently. So the software gives officials a way of querying why this has happened quickly but securely, and hopefully leads to fewer delays. So what should you take from all of this? What is common to making the ETDA and our ecosystem of trust concepts a success? We can see that working together, industry and government are doing a great deal with data and technology. And our joint vision is ambitious. Because of its size and the huge variety of what we in the UK import and export at our border, ours is one of the most complex systems of policy, technology, and process that exists. And I believe that government and industry must work hand in hand to transform this. Working together, we can make the potential benefits of the ETDA a reality. We can take the ideas we've developed in the ecosystem of trust and grow them together so that they make a real difference to our border work, to the benefit of us all. Now, ever since I was asked by the Deputy Prime Minister to take on the borders role in 2022, quite a challenge, I've believed that we can make a significant difference by bringing in a risk-based system of border control, working constructively and innovatively with business, and using the ever-developing dynamics of technology and data to speed up and to simplify the mechanisms that we need to keep the UK safe and secure. It is a pleasure to be able to discuss all of this with experts and friends here. And I look forward to your comments and questions at the round table that I think Nick Davis is going to chair, and that the drinks and general mixing that is part of today. Please, come in with your comments. We like challenge, we like change, we like opportunity. And thank you very much for listening.